take it from there. Our guest today, well, his citation says he cannot be missed in a crowd. He cannot be missed in a crowd. A native of Ondo and a direct descendant of the Oshimawe Odunola and grandson of Oshimawe Lamele, and the direct descendant of Alafi Onigbogi and Alafi Songo of Oyoile, and the Elempe Etsu of Nupe and Oba of Benin. He was born on the 8th of January, 1972. After completing his primary school in Ondo, he went to St. Joseph's College, Ondo, and then went to the Obafemi Awolowo University, where he graduated with honors in law. He was also a national student activist at that time. Called to the Nigerian bar in the year 2000 after completing and passing his bar exams from the Nigerian Law School in the year 2002. Shortly after his return to Lagos, did his NYSC in Kogi State. He joined the law firm of Tunji Abayomi & Co. and rose through the ranks. He acquired a Master's of Law at the University of Jos, was part of the activities of the Nigerian Labour Congress, was a comrade, made friends across the length and breadth of Nigeria, and started his personal law firm. He's licensed in California, in New York, and various other courts in the United States, and he has practiced substantial law practice in UK, Europe, and Australia, and a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators. Today, he's better known as the SDP presidential candidate. He also runs a TV station, Kaftan TV broadcasts, with broadcasts on Star Times, Ben TV, and Links Sat. And he has really done very, very well for himself. Please welcome with me Adewole Adebayo, who is running slightly late, he tells me. I think he's at a meeting. And while we sort of wait for him, we do have some of his people here. Dr. Ralph Bello Fadele, a good friend of mine. Dr. Ralph, it's good to see you. God bless you. And the candidate himself has joined us, Mr. Adewole Adebayo. I think he's actually on the road. So, Mr. Adebayo, it's good to reconnect with you. Can you hear me? Or do you need some time to settle down? You have to unmute yourself. We can't hear you. Okay, they are not allowing you to unmute. Okay, Olu from the back end. Mr. Adebayo is with us.
Okay, I've been loud now.
Okay. Yeah, you are most welcome. You are most welcome. And
thank you, Pastor.
Really, yes, it's good to see you. And this is your second time around with us. And
yes.
We did spend a few days together in the US a few weeks ago. Are you still in the US or are you back to Nigeria?
I'm back. I'm actually coming out from the Christian Center, National Christian Center, because today is the handover ceremony of the old president of Christian Association of Nigeria and the new president of CAN. So I was a guest of honor there. So I decided to go. And at the time we were supposed to join, we were taking pictures with the outgoing president and the new one. So that's why I knew I would be 1 or 2 minutes late, but I needed to warn you ahead that I'll be 1 or 2 minutes late because usually I'm never a second late.
Okay, that's very good. Thank you for that. And I did get your notice. So who is the new president of CAN?
The new president of CAN is Daniel Oko.
Okay.
He took over from Samson Ayokunle.
Okay. Which church or which block of CAN does he represent? Do you know?
He represents the white garment session. I think this is their first time of producing. So they're very happy. Everybody is happy.
Okay, excellent.
So the outgone one is came from CCN, from Baptist Church.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
Excellent. 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 So today we're talking about the Nigeria that we see, the Nigeria that we see. And let me first of all congratulate you on emerging as the presidential candidate for the Social Democratic Party, the SDP. The last time we spoke in your beautiful location in Ondo, you were an aspirant. And
yes, sir.
Now you are no longer an aspirant, you are the man on the seat, driving the process and trying to put Nigeria back on track, and therefore we're very, very happy to have you here. And congratulations again. And by the way, your vice presidential nominee is one of my brothers, one of my sons, is a good old King's College boy, Yusuf Buhari.
Yes.
So
I put that into consideration when we're making our selection.
You are a politician indeed.
And I have with me here Chief Kenneth Gbagi, former Minister of Education and SDP governorship candidate for Delta State. And a Christian leader, and we were just coming together and decided to join this event. Good afternoon.
Chief Kenneth, how are you?
Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. Well done. You are the man in charge of Delta.
Yes, by the grace of God.
Okay, we'll exchange numbers with you with our candidate, and we'll have to have you on our program so that you can tell us all about the oil money in Delta and how you are going to spend it for us. Is that not so?
Fantastic.
And how you are going to manage Delta and so on and so forth. The African Leadership Group mainly deals with leadership in Africa, focusing right now on Nigeria because of our peculiar issues in Nigeria. And we're just trying to make sure that we play our own part in adding value to the leadership process and helping to produce credible and capable leaders that the public can look at. So it's good to meet you, and congratulations on your emergence as the governorship candidate for the SDP. So we will reconnect.
We will.
All right. So my dear brother.
Passing through the villa, usually around this side, there could be some jamming of signal, but it will last only a few minutes if it happens.
Okay, I'm sure when you get into the villa, you remove all the jamming of the signals so that we can have a free country. Or are you going to increase the jamming of the signals?
I think the jamming is necessary to help secure the place.
I know. Right. Yesterday or 2 weeks ago or last week, our exchange rate was 680 to 1, I am told. Today, I am told that it's exchanging for 700, 710. What are you going to do about our economy when you become, or if you become, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? How are we going to sort out our debt issue at this point in time? And what kind of Nigeria do you see in the future? Is there really any hope for us in Nigeria?
Let me start with saying there is hope. There's every day that comes, the deeper the darkness, the closer we are to light. So there is hope in Nigeria. It's not just wishful hope. It's actual hope, because the hope is anchored on God's promise that He cannot create His people just for destruction. So if God could do all the wonders and miracles to take the Israelites out of Egypt, shows that He cannot forget any person, any people committed to Him. And more so that we know that we are the cause of our problem. It's not a divine cause on us. It's just God's mercy. But we are difficult people. And if we repent and change some of our ways, and one of the things we need to do to help with our economy is as follows. One, I know people are worried about Naira and dollar. It's important, but it's not the cause of our problem. It's like someone having malaria, temperature will come with it. So if you are measuring the temperature of someone who has severe malaria, and you keep measuring temperature, you get distracted. Temperature is just one of the symptoms. If you know that this person has malaria, you know there are parasites in the bloodstream, you know that we want to attack the parasites, and the parasites in the bloodstream stop hurting the blood cells, the temperature will come down, the person will be able to eat well, and the person will start using their natural immunity to fix the rest of their body. What is happening in our economy is that there are parasites in the bloodstream of the economy, and the parasites are headquartered in government. So until you change the people who are in government and change their attitude to away from trying to take advantage of the economy and trying to take care of their own immediate needs, you will not be able to deal with the issue of currency. So as president of Nigeria, the first thing I will do is to make sure that from within the State House, from within my presidency, I have patriots like me who are not trying to be 1 cent richer, who are trying to bring order. Because what happens to our currencies are 3 things. 1, there's a lot of illicit naira available. And this illicit naira chases after the dollar. That's number 1 problem. And you will see that with the ongoing trial of the Accountant General of the Federation, where 1 person is accused of stealing 190 billion. So if he decides to use majority of that money to buy dollars, then we will be in trouble. And he's not the only one. There are hundreds, if not thousands of his type, taken unjustly at different levels. National level, state level, local government level, at ministry level, at the banking level. So this is what is killing, that's number 1 thing killing the currency. Because these people are stealing blind, they are trying to escape from the economy they are creating. Because they are like people come to a robber who comes to a crime scene and they come and steal and rob, they want to get away. So once they get this naira, they want to escape with the naira, and they escape into the dollar. Second thing that is killing is lack of productivity. Lack of productivity will make you to produce less and consume more. And things that you don't produce, that you have to consume, have a cost to them. And some of these costs are externalized in foreign exchange. So you would have to now, because you're not fishing enough, we have fishing everywhere, we have fishing commodity everywhere. We are not fishing, we import our fish. We don't produce wheat, we don't produce alternative to wheat, we have to import everything. So we've killed our refinery, so we don't refine our crude into products that we need, so we import all of that. So you can look at anybody who's working around you, look at them from head to toe, look at what they eat, look at their medicine, everything is being imported. So that is a problem. The third component is that we are losing our oil revenue, which used to be the main source of our income, foreign exchange. Now, I've been saying it for the past 5 months, and nobody has questioned me on it, that 80% of our crude is outrightly stolen. Before, we used to quarrel over whether our crude, hello? Hello? Hello?
I hear you. Please continue speaking.
Okay. Earlier, we used to complain when Lamido Sanusi was His Eminence, Lamido Sanusi, when he was governor of Central Bank. There was this argument between him and our sister, Dr. Okonjo-Iweala, as to whether NNPC was remitting all the money they were getting from crude into the federation account. At that time, we were talking about 20 billion not being remitted. The debate went on and went on. Now, 80% of the crude just stolen outrightly. Doesn't even get to NNPC at all. Doesn't get anywhere. So you are losing foreign exchange at a time when oil is above $100 per barrel. So how is your currency not going to disappear? Then the second component, the second largest contributor, are the remittances from abroad. by Nigerians who are in the diaspora. The remit, officially before we were verging around 23, 24 billion that they were remitting. Now, all that money has been taken over by central bank and the banking system. So this money is not available. So what is happening is that those who have kept dollar behind and a few can bring new dollar in are now the people who are supplying what we call the black market. And the black market is where 90-something% of the population goes to buy. And even though we call it the black market, it's actually the only real market that is there. In volume-wise, central bank official channel gives more dollar, but it gives to just a few people, less than 0.1% of those who need it. So this is what is leading to the situation with the dollar. But I've always told Nigerians that the actual exchange rate is not the problem. Whether you are changing your dollar at 1,000 naira to the dollar or $10 naira to the dollar, what is more important is the stability. Like the East African countries, you can see that let me give you two examples in the extreme, countries that are next to each other. Kenya changes its Kenyan shillings at 100 shillings to the dollar. It's been like that for the past 10 years. It goes like 2 cents, if you think nothing major. Next to them is Tanzania. Tanzania is 2,000 Tanzania shillings to the dollar. But it's been like 2,000 for the past 10 years. So this is the stability that we need to remove spread, to remove arbitrage, which would now lead to speculation. That's basically what we need to do to understand the situation. And that's what I will do as president.
All right. Thank you very, very much. You've spoken a little bit about production, getting Nigerian to produce more. What specifically are you going to do to get us to produce more? What plans do you have, and so on and so forth? Meanwhile, there's a polls being shown on the screen. For those who can see it, please respond to our polls. So, Mr. Adewole, what plans do you have to make Nigeria a producing nation?
First is to get people employed. And that was why, when you saw me in America, I was there partly for security issues, diplomatic issues, but I was principally on education, but I was principally there to try to get 30 million jobs, new jobs into the economy. And you will have seen from the news that the U.S. National Black Chamber of Commerce and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce have collaborated with me. Even today, I got a message from them that apart from the 2,000 companies that sign up, more companies are signing up. So if you have 3 ways to get production going. One is that you start producing what you need locally, which was what we were doing in the late 60s, early 70s, called import substitution. You start producing things which hitherto you were importing. Second way is that you start to do value added to produce ginger. For example, right on the average, we don't get more than $20 million from ginger. But in a very good year, I don't think we have picked above $120 million for ginger. But Nigerian ginger is the best. Anywhere in the world, there's no country that can come second to us, is their distant second. Whereas if we only added one more chain to it and produce ginger oil, the same ginger you sell raw for $20 million will give you ginger oil of $1.2 billion. Just a little press. Anything that can crush egusi, crush any of these things that women crush in the market, make it sophisticated, we can have scented ginger oil, which will take us about $3 billion. And that is just for ginger. What of onion to India? What of gum arabic? So many. So this is the second layer of what you need to do to generate productivity and generate foreign exchange, because no government under me will consider itself successful until within 2 years, we have been able to cancel out oil money and produce non-oil income that is twice the oil income. That is the target for me. The third thing that can give you jobs is to start to do production for things needed abroad. That is why the Chinese are producing Apple phone for Apple Corporation in the US. So you have to have companies go to Thailand to sew shirts, make clothes, do textile, other textile byproducts. So we need now to have franchises and companies coming to Nigeria to set up factories within their value chain. And therefore, complete, if the product is simple, we can do this whole complete product. If the product is not simple, we can do a component of that product. And that is easy to do. I've done it all over the world. I follow companies all over the world to set up similar companies. That is why the US Black Chamber of Commerce found it easy to work with me, because I follow them all over the world, planting these companies in various places. So this, as I'm talking to you today, there is a Chinese delegation I'm receiving in Nigeria, and they've come to try to look at cottage industries that they can establish here. It will surprise you that China is doing that. Why? Because China is becoming a medium economy now, and labor is becoming pricey in China too. So what led to China industrial revolution was cheap labor, but they are running out of cheap labor now because they're taking their people out of poverty. More people are going to school, and the communities are getting settled. So Africa, particularly Nigeria, is a place where you can export such jobs. Once you do that, I can tell you, you will be able to push your external reserve to about 500 billion. It's now around 40-something billion. It's not even enough for one state in Nigeria. So we were able to push that, and you will see that productivity will help the currency and help all of us.
Do you think there's real hope for Nigeria? Well, you said so, that there's hope, that God is really in charge of Nigeria. But these days, you know, some people were planning a program yesterday in Abuja, and they had to cancel the program because of our security issues. Okay, so what are we going to do, or what are you going to do about security in Nigeria at this point in time, when people can break into prisons in Abuja, catch away prisoners, trains are being hijacked all over the place? Abuja is now regarded as a place that is not safe at all. So what are your thoughts on security for this country?
Okay, in the course of this answer, I might use the elevator, so there will be a little static, but I will continue once I get upstairs. But the most important thing to realize is that Nigerian security threats are low-profile threats. They are not really major threats. For example, we're not Ukraine that has a superpower next door that wants to get rid of us. Our case is a case of carelessness. Well, it's a case of petty crime and transnational crime. That is what is running in Nigeria. And we have a way to deal with it. The previous government at least did one thing right. They passed the Terrorism Act 2011. If we just follow that Terrorism Act, it addresses many ways by which we can keep our communities secure, keep our government secure without offending the international community. Because the haphazard way we were doing it before was creating problems for us internationally, because they never knew whether we knew the boundary between real confessional war, counter-terrorism war in a civilian environment. So we were having problems with our troops being accused of human rights abuses, breaching Leahy law, and doing so many other things like that. Now the act is there. What has happened to us is what Americans feared would happen to them when President Donald Trump first took over.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, our guest today, he has taken excuse.
The intermediate, he wasn't paying attention.
Okay, so
Yes.
I think it's
I'm upset now, sorry. Yes. So can you hear me now?
us.
Yes, I'm back now. Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So they were complaining. They were complaining that President Trump Hello, sir. Let's go in, sir. Hello? Yes.
Okay, we're waiting on you.
Okay, so they were complaining that
Let's just give our guests a few minutes to settle down. Meanwhile, we have some polls that we have been showing on the screen. We would like you to please respond with your answers.
You have to do with I was transiting from the lift, then there's the Wi-Fi. Can you hear me now, sir?
We can hear you.
Okay, I do apologize. So what was happening was that complaining that President Trump was not reading his security briefings. He was not attending it, he was not paying attention. To raise alarm quickly, because that is a system that is well established and they have a way of informing the media at the country. In our case here, the president is the same thing. He's not been reading the security estimates. He's not had that put together. And if you were thinking, well, that's unimaginable, why will he not do it? You will now find out that he himself, when he was reacting to the Kuje jailbreak, he said he was surprised. But normally, a commander-in-chief should not be surprised by that because the estimates will have come, the assessment will have come. So what I will do is to take intelligence seriously. And I've been reviewing some battle reports. I've been reviewing some security engagement. And I've seen that there are lots of gaps that are making this understand why we have the problem. I understand the gap in the security community. I understand what is making the terrorists to be able to move supply and transport, to be able to do their camping. And I've also done assessment of the military capability of the Nigerian Armed Forces. I used to have some concern, but after the latest assessment, I became assured that the military in Nigeria will be able to deal with these terrorists if properly led and properly commanded. I don't see there's a problem there. I used to have concern whether we could on our own even get rid of these terrorists, but after my latest assessment, I realized that even if the terrorists increase their strength by 20 times, Nigerian armed forces, when they're properly led, will get rid of them in a matter of weeks. We can do that. Hello?
So what you think that by and large the problem with the armed forces right now is the implication of as insinuated. Now I want to look at. Are you with me?
I am here. I can hear you clearly.
Can everybody else hear me? I'm sorry about this technology today.
Yeah, the network is a bit fishy, Pastor.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Pastor, we can hear you.
All right, jolly good. Okay. What are your plans and how are you hoping to be able to get into Aso Rock come 2023? We have today two leading candidates of APC and PDP. They tell us that they have a lot of structure, blah, 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 and nobody else has structure. So what is your response, and what's the SDB's of structure? Are you going to get the votes in Nigeria, in the north, in the south, and all over the place, and so on and so forth? Do you think that you really can win?
If you can hear me, Pastor, it looks like your internet is not giving you the necessary bandwidth. But I don't know if others can hear me.
We can hear you. Go on, go on.
Okay. You see, the issue of structure, there is legitimate structure. There is corruption structure. Legitimate structure is the one recognized by INEC, which is that a political party will have structure at national level, 6 zonal level, 36 state and FCT level, 774 local government level, 8,888 or thereabout ward level, and 176,846 polling unit level. Now, that is your structure. That structure is intact in SDP. We have that structure, we've always had it. So we don't have a problem. If I want to say hello, now, the hello will reach every polling unit in Nigeria, and it will reach very fast. So we have the structure. We're able to do that. Second structure is the ability to have this intercalary relationship with all other interested parties in Nigeria who are not necessarily political parties, their interest group, support groups, and all of that. We're able to do that. Then you know that the ultimate is for every voter on the election day to not be in doubt, one, about the fact that the Social Democratic Party has Adewole Adebayo as presidential candidate and Yusuf Buhari as vice presidential candidate. Not to be in doubt as to what the Social Democratic Party stands for. Not to be in doubt as to what we would do should we be elected to government. Not to be in doubt as to our personality, what we've achieved in life, our temperament, what we stand for. Not to be in doubt on our opinion on every major issue in the country. Not to be in doubt as to our plan for the voter and for the electorate and for the people of Nigeria in area of domestic policy, employment policy, financial policy, foreign policy, security policy, and all the other components. And not to be in doubt that we are coming to implement Chapter 2 of the Nigerian Constitution, social welfare and social package for everybody. Not to be in doubt about our job plans. Every Nigerian now knows that the SDP has secured a plan to create 30 million jobs immediately upon being elected. So if once all of these things are now before the people, we've done our job. Once we're able to man every polling unit with committed, sincere, and patriotic Nigerians, we have done our part. The rest is now for the people, because power belongs to the people of Nigeria. It is they, not any one structure, that can give you power. And let me give you evidence, but lawyers would like to give evidence. If they had structure, why are they buying votes? If their structure was working for them, why are they buying votes? Why is it that I, Adewole Adebayo, scored the highest number of delegate votes in my primaries? Why is it that in their own party, they have to pay dollars to even get the delegates of their party? So my own structure is more loyal to me. There were people who came from different parts of the country to come and vote for me on the day of my election at National Convention, who slept on the street because they couldn't find accommodation, who were looking for food to eat. They came all the way. But in their own, they had to put them in a 5-star hotel, give them a lot of money, still have to bribe them thousands of dollars before they could agree to vote for them. I didn't have to do that. Why I say that I have more posters done for me than I'm doing for myself. You will see many of the posters done for me, they are spelling my name anyhow they like. So those things make me feel happy that people are taking initiative in support of what we are doing. There is no day in this country that at least, at a minimum, 900 to 1,100 meetings are not held in my name and the name of SDP running for the election. So as far as our structure is concerned, we are comfortable, but we are not resting on our oars. We are working, and we know that we still have 7 months more to work. And when the campaign starts, they will now understand the meaning of structure. Why they will be paying money to buy crowds, they will see how organic our own support base is. And that's what we want to do. Hello? Pastor, are you there?
Yeah, Mr. Adewole, thank you very, very much. Somebody bigger than myself was interrupting me here.
Oh, I can understand.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Can
Upbeat, a little shaky, but we can hear you.
Can everybody else hear me?
Yes, Pastor.
Put the air conditioner on here.
Okay. Before Pastor comes back, how are you, Adewale? My name is
Yeah,
Salim.
fine. Adewole Adebayo is fine. Thank you very
I
much.
know, I co-host with him. So you've spoken about structure, and I'm really hoping that that structure works for you. But the next question, which is very critical also, is how do you intend to fund this structure? We know today in Nigeria that no matter what you say, you need funds, either to fund it according to you legitimately or fund it the other way. Do you have this money? Have you projected exactly how much you need to fund the structures in 36 states, 774 local governments, each state having over 3,000 something wards? How do you want to do this?
Well, no one can have enough money for election. It's not only here. I was discussing with my friend, Tom Perez, President Obama's Secretary of Labor. He's working in the Justice Department. He's taken many positions. He's been Secretary of Labor for President Obama. He's been chairman of the National Democratic Convention. He's been endorsed by President Obama, Biden, Speaker Pelosi. But he was still telling me that his campaign is running short of money. So it's a global problem that you don't have enough money. Only thieves have enough money for politics. If anybody says money is not my problem, then you start to look at them that there's a little problem there. However, there are 3 ways to handle issue of money, which makes me to know that we are not going to have money problem. Number 1 is volunteerism. Many things for which they pay, I don't have to pay. You saw Kenneth Baggy with me here. I don't have enough money to even give money to drive out Kenneth Baggy. Kenneth Baggy is a well-established person. You see people like Solomon Dalun with me. You see people like Cornelio Padile with me. Professor Adeniran, Senator Ogochukwu Uba. You see so many people. Godwin Osigbemin, countless and countless people. I can't mention all of them. I have over 89 major generals or generals generally who are consulting for me. So all those services are for free. I'm talking to you now as civic leaders and religious leaders in the country. It costs me nothing. It's just the grace of God that you've invited me here. So we have all this volunteerism, and that will take away 60% of what they are spending their own money for. Second, we don't believe in illegality. I don't want to be president on top of a crime. I want to be president by the grace of God and the will of Nigerian people. Therefore, I don't have to pay anybody a bribe. I don't need to donate money to anybody. I don't need to do, so that's another 1/3 of what they are spending their money on that I don't have to spend my money on. Then I have the young people, the youth. They are following me, they are talking to me, they are interacting with me. So that also is part of the voluntarism, it's also part of the enthusiasm. So with that, the only thing I need to spend money on are basically that I have activities, in accounting, I spent some time studying accounting. Accounting is activity-based costing. So if you look at all the legitimate activities you have to do 40 rallies across the country. You have to maintain party offices in all the states and also campaign offices. You have to make visitation to places. The other time, last week, I went to Ogbomoso and I went to the whole of Oyo State. So I had to take 33 local government delegations in Oyo State. So I had to travel there. I had to stay in the hotel. Those are the things you spend money on. And that kind of money, which is spent with the fear of God and with truth, that money will come out. And there are people who are chipping in into the campaign, making donations and little contributions here and there. And there are a lot of people who love this country and who believe that with all this money in their hand, I'm not talking of those godfathers and those people who negotiate the country away. I'm not going to collect money to give people tax waivers. I'm not going to collect money to give people trade waivers. I'm not going to collect money to give people duty waivers. No, I am going to talk to people who are Nigerians who give the little they can give without conditions attached. I think with that, we'll be able to fund our campaign. And the way we fund our campaign, we also advise you as to how we are going to handle government money. When you see people paying for dedicated coverage on media, they want to do a small program, they do 7 hours live coverage, they are showing money everywhere. You show that when they get to government, they're going to finish us. Because how you manage your campaign is a signal of how you manage the government. And we need to be modest in what we do, not charter 20 planes to carry people from one end to the other because we are doing campaign. No, and also we have to bear in mind that INEC has a legal spending limit for the campaign. Many of them are already supposed to go to prison because they violated already. So we are going to keep within that spending limit. And the wisdom is that if you keep within that spending limit, you will be able to do all the necessary things to show that you are a serious, viable candidate. But you are not going to be able to do money politics. So all of that is what we're able to do. You will see, for example, that we started collating our party agents for the election. If they were to collect money from us, because we have to choose at a minimum now, we need 360,000 people to man our election for us. And we need about 3 million people to be active canvassers around the election time. If we have 3 million people working on our campaign, even if you are giving them 1,000 naira a day, that's 3 billion. That's already taking you closer to the upper limit of spending. So that's why we resorted to volunteer. If you are giving them 10,000, that's 30 billion. At that point, you put your name boldly in the register of armed robbers. At that point, you are no longer running for president, you are committing a crime. We're not going to do that.
All right.
Pastor is back. Pastor, go on.
And Tony, yeah, let me yield the floor to you. You have a question you want to ask?
No, well, just still speaking about politics, let me just take him up on this. Adewale, you've often said that Peter Obi is not a new breed. You've somehow spoken about him that when they are considering Dr. Raf, you don't want that question. Okay, can you hear me? You've often spoken about Peter Obi because he seemed to be having a rising profile, at least among the third force people. Peter Obi seemed to be the next to Atiku and Tinubu, at least in the public space. But I've heard you on several forums saying that we shouldn't even consider Peter Obi when we are talking of the third force or the new leg because he's not. Now, do you want to explain why? What do you mean he's not and what is it exactly that you have against him?
Okay, now, he's a nice guy. I don't have a problem with him. In fact, today we met in church and we gave each other a warm embrace. So I don't have a problem with him as a person. I only have principle, and the principle I have predated his coming to run for office. What I'm saying basically is this: you can party as his backyard, and he was sending his people inside my party to try to secure the ticket for him because he wasn't sure of what was going to happen to him in his party. Would that mean that if my party had not held firm, and God has not helped us for us to emerge, are you saying that if Tinubu had emerged in SDP, he too would be a third force? So that's what I'm saying, that you can give a good reason why you want to support him, but please don't ridicule the intelligence of Nigerians and the integrity of the third force by saying he is now third force. Secondly, he's also have third force views. Third force is not just for a frustrated politician somewhere. No, third force means that you believe that anyone who has ruled before and who has been part of the errors of the past should not be given any opportunity to lead us, that we need a new path, we need freshness, we need new ideas, we need clean records. And I'm not saying that he's not a good man. There are the people who believe that he's a good man, but definitely he's not fresh, he doesn't have clean records, doesn't have a new pathway.
All right, thank you. So
that's
if
just my argument. It's not against him in person.
All right.
I'm just arguing from consistency point of view.
All right, noted, sir. So should he come now and want to form a coalition with all the other parties, apart from the two principal ones, are you saying you won't admit him into the coalition?
No. In fact, I have said that any of them who are PDP veterans, whatever they are, if they have repented, they have now understood what we have been saying all this while, yes, that these parties were leading us nowhere. They can come and join us, but they will queue up and learn the third force way from us. They cannot come and hijack our platform because it's as good as surrendering yourself to PDP. And I gave an illustration that in 2015, when Nigerians said they were frustrated with the PDP and they were looking for a new path, they had an option to go to the new path through the young people who were coming up. But somehow they got seduced. We got seduced by the new PDP breaking out last minute from PDP, forming alliance with ACN and CPC. And they brought a man from a terrible past. They got a man from a terrible past who didn't do well in his time. They repackaged him and said he's the new leader now. And as a result of that, people rushed towards that place, and that is why we're in crisis today. I am saying we cannot repeat the problem of 2015 again, whereby the people are fed up, they want a new path. And PDP, which opened a second shop in APC, right now, Adewole, who is the chairman of APC, was in PDP. Everybody, the executive was in PDP. All the PDP are now the leaders of APC. The same PDP now has sent Mr. Peter Obi and Mr. Dati Baba Ahmed, who was a die-in-the-wool PDP man, who was a PDP senator, behaved together like PDP. They've now opened a new shop in Labour. That automatically knocks Labour out of the leadership of the third force. However, if they are coming to join the third force so that a third force candidate can emerge, we welcome them, but they cannot lead us back to the wilderness called PDP, because that's what they are going to do. And that's my point.
Okay, so let me get you clearly before I hand over to Pastor. If all the other third force people, as you say, come together and Peter Obi joins, and there's an election amongst you, and Peter Obi emerges as the consensus leader of that group, you are saying you won't support him?
He won't emerge. Because
no, I'm saying, should he emerge, will you support?
I will give him the same treatment I will give Tinubu if he were to come and join and wants to emerge. I'll give you the same treatment I will give to Atiku if he were to join and somehow manages to emerge in that impossibility or in that unlikely event that imagine, I know that the third force is no longer running. The third force now has surrendered. You know, it's not the first time that the third force has surrendered in the past. You remember that in 2015, many people in the third force went and joined President Buhari's campaign. Even many of my good friends, whom I respect, whom I love, like Tanko Unisa, like many of them, they went and joined APC and said they were going to work with APC. So the people like Professor Patutomi and Co, it's not the first time, because they are realistic people. When they make effort and try, and they believe that there's no pathway, they tend to say, okay, let's just manage somebody from the establishment. I'm of the view that that's not how to do it. That was not how Buhari did his own. What you do is that if you are a third force, remain a third force. So if I said it in presence of Pastor Itua, and Patutomi was there, I said, if Labour had brought Patutomi, this conversation would be very good for me. If they have brought Kingsley Moghalu from ADC, this conversation is okay for me. So I'm not against anyone in particular. You know, I am just against the submission of the third force, because I can see the future. I can see that it will
All
need
right,
to
let
be
me leave the floor to Pastor Itua now to ask you more questions. Pastor, do you have follow-up questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. I think
he has answered the issue of third force and really clarified his position.
Yes.
And what he's saying is that a third force should be a clean break from the past, at least in its leadership. Along the line, if people repent from their past behaviors and they want to join it, they should join from the bottom up and not come into the leadership. And of course, there's some kind of assurance that they really have repented, both in their structure and their thinking. And I think, to be honest, that is a legitimate thought. Let me ask a question on what you are going to do with our children out of school. 18 million children are reputed to be presently out of school. What are you going to do? And how are we going to deal with that? ASU is on strike. What should this government have done? And how are you going to ensure that in your tenure, if you are fortunate to be there, there will be no ASU strike? A child can get into school and know that in 3 years' time or 4 years' time, he will get out of school.
Okay, first thing we will do is that some money has to become holy. As it is today in government, no money is holy. Every money looks the same to the people in government. So education money is money to them. They will take it, change it to dollar, and spend it. So what I will do is to prioritize education in my government. Ensure that locally for us, unlike the past, when I was in school, and they were arguing that there was not enough money for education. Now nobody is saying that there's not enough money for education. There is enough money for education. It's a tough fight as to whether government should control that money or whether the money should be given to the educationists to control. What led to ASU strike is not that there's no money. In my time, when I was studying law at Ife, there was genuinely no money. Oil price was low, the government was under sanction, they couldn't fund education. But ASU came to the government with an idea, a novel idea, that okay, we'll bring up an idea where we'll create tertiary education trust fund. The money is not even government money. It's money from private sector, people like me, people like Pastor Itua, or any other person that is doing business, and they take a portion of our profit and create a trust fund. Government allow ASU to bring the law, they pass the law, Abacha passed the law. But immediately the money accumulated up to 75 billion. They amended the law and put the tertiary education trust fund under the government, under Ministry of Education. Since that time, anybody who donates money to your campaign, anybody who plays any role in your campaign is running straight to become education minister, so that they can now be managing slush fund. My government will return the money to trustee. So there will be a tertiary education trust fund that will have independent people on it. They will have people who are not affiliated to the government, people who have credibility. If people like Hiwere are still young to do it, they can do it. If people like Christopher Kolade are there to do it, they will do it. If people like Igodalo are there to do it, they will do it. So it will be a transparent trust for a trustee. they will be internationally audited, and the money will now be given to the university. It will not be Ministry of Education, in the name of that fund, awarding cow-shared contracts for people to build hostels that look like cow sheds, really. So that will be taken out of government. Now, with respect to children being out of school, education is a concurrent subject in our constitution. So when it comes to secondary education, only people like Pastor Ichua and Co were lucky to go to federal government schools, King's College, Unity School, and all the rest of it. The rest have to go to school owned by the second tier of government, which is the state. Now, I am elected as president of Nigeria. I'm now not automatically the governor of every state. But what I will do is to expand the Unity schools, to expand, sorry, I have a power switch, but it's going to come on in seconds. So what I need to do is to make sure that I expand the Unity school, I build more of them, I build more capacity for them to actually admit more students. I also create counterpart funding, which we already have in UBEC. There's counterpart funding that needs to be given to them so that there's a standardization across the country. Remember that our first attempt at education for all was universal primary education under the military government of Olusegun Obasanjo. And that program really did well. It was, of course, not as successful as the compulsory education system set up by Chief Adewole as Premier of Western Region and copied by Michael Okpara in the Eastern Region. But we can be able to pull these children back to school. The good thing is that we have colleges of education and other teacher training schools. So we have produced enough teachers. Many of them now are selling recharge cards. Many of them are doing other things. So if we can vote the money towards education, we will be fine. But the reason why we are not able to vote the money for education, not just because of the 26% UNESCO said we should spend, is that majority of our money, getting close to 90%, is stolen. And then the debt services, which they are talking about, many of the debt were borrowed also to be stolen. So once you elect me as president and I set up my government, I can guarantee you won't see a single thief among the ministers. That one I can guarantee. And you are going to see that the funds that are coming will now be devoted, they will be publicly budgeted, and you can see the money, and we can take the children out of school easily. That's not rocket science, because that the children spend in school is 6 years. So even with an accelerated program, we can get them out in 4.5 years, 5 years, and we can eliminate the backlog. Not only do you have backlog, okay, so hello, can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Yeah, go ahead, please.
So even not only the 10 million kids that are in school, out of school, it's also even that are lost students who have finished from universities who are not able to go. There's backlog everywhere. There's backlog to go for NYSC. Can you believe that? So there's backlog everywhere because the money that's supposed to be appropriated is taken. There's a paradox in government. And that paradox has now been resolved on the side of stealing. The more money you spend on development, the less money you are able to steal. That was why at the Constituent Assembly in 1977, people who, Bala Usman, other people who were on the side of the people came up with this idea that India did it. Why don't we have fundamental objectives and directive principle of state policy? So that people don't enter government and believe that feeding the poor, educating the children is a program, it's a voluntary program, that we must put it in our constitution so that we can say, these are the priorities of government. This is how public revenue is supposed to be disbursed. Now, if we follow that legitimately, when anybody is in government, it can't have, even if he wants to be a thief, it can't have more than 10% on committed funds. Because a lot of money in government should be funded mandates. That's why even the US congressional system of budgeting, the Congressional Budget Office has what we call funded mandates and unfunded mandates. So if you become US president today, you can't just spend money as you like. Healthcare is, they have funded mandates, you must pay the money. Veteran affairs, to take care of soldiers, the money is already there. Social welfare is already there. So all of these things is what I will do in government, so that whoever is coming to serve with me and those who come after me will see that if there is $100 billion received into the Nigerian economy, 90-something billion are already committed to all these programs. So you can't change them. And it's difficult for you to now say you want to steal the money. And this is what I think we need to do in order to be able to take these kids out of school and get other things done in the interest of the country.
Well, the truth of the matter really is that it's not that the monies are not committed. It's really the process of delivering the money to the end user that is largely extremely corrupted. And a procurement, over invoicing, sharing of money from the contractor side. So you pay a contractor 10 billion to build schools. First of all, the invoice is double. Maybe it's going to cost only 5 or 6 or 4 million to build those schools. He has invoiced you 10 billion. By the time you pay the contractor the 10 billion, he divides 9 billion among himself and his cronies, does a job of 500 million, comes back to ask for waiver or ask for escalation or something, or even abandons the place. Yes, Mr. Adewole.
I don't know whether they have not been coming to you for conversion, but if they come for conversion, listen to them. They've gone beyond that one now. That one is no longer enough. That is the whole system, 10% and all of that. They have got into going to the source of the revenue and collecting the money so that it doesn't even reach the government. Right now, 80% of our crude is stolen. So that money will not even enter the budget. So they are no longer satisfied. There's a large crowd in the place where they give contracts. If anyone listens to Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, the current Minister for Works and Housing, he was on air yesterday. And if you listen to him, he will remind you of that Nollywood movie called Living in Bondage. Why? He had 3 or 4 contracts, major contracts, that are giving him a black eye. One of them, he has to put 50 billion to do Shango Ota Road. Another one, 30 billion, different billions for different roads. Second Niger Bridge, and all of those projects. They are stuck. He is stuck. Why? Because in one of the contracts, he said, it's budgeted for 50 billion. They gave him 200 million naira, which is just like the cost of his transport money, and the ministry people go to inspect the site and it's not operating. And it was through ingenuity that he was able to take Sukuk Islamic loan of 7 billion, just to pretend that they are doing the road. So they're just wasting your time up and down, blocking men at work, but they're not doing the real work, because 7 billion handle 50 billion. So what does that tell you? What it tells you is that the Accountant General of the Federation, who has just been granted bail now for taking 190 billion, has on his own, one person who is not even at the top of the food chain, has been able to take 190 billion. And if you take the 4 projects over which Fashola is stuck, and the whole country becomes a ridiculous place, the money he took will do all the 4 projects and I'll still have about 10 billion for him. And that's just one person. There are bigger fish, bigger barracudas inside the villa. And there are bigger barracudas and sharks inside NNPC. They are there everywhere. So they are no longer in the business of awarding contract. That's for the small boys. The big boys and big girls now just go straight to Central Bank, take the money, go to the creeks, take the oil. And those are the people we are contending with. That is the problem now. It's no longer the 10%.
So how are you going to deal with these barracudas now? Do you think they're going to leave the system just like that without a fight?
The only way is, number one, at least I've done my part. I am not campaigning with them. I'm not taking their money. I'm not cahooting in cahoot with them. That is why we don't have 250 million to give to influencers to make us trend on social media. That's why we don't have 100 million, 200 million to give to a TV station to give us dedicated coverage. And we start, even if we cough, they will cover it live. Whatever we say, we don't have that. We are trying to build an organic campaign on modest budget. Otherwise, if you want to go beyond you have to go back to them. So I've already broken that yoke. There's no covenant between me and them. Therefore, that permanent presidency that never changes. Whoever you elect, they don't go. They will go in my time. Now, that's my first duty. Second duty is that I will bring patriots into the government who will make sure that the presidency does not work against the president. Right now, President Buhari is a prisoner of conscience inside the presidency. The presidency is working against him. So even as we are holding this Zoom conference now, if you were to ask somebody, go and find out whether they are holding the Zoom conference, you will not get the answer. They will tell you, yeah, it's not holding place, taking place at all. Even if Tua is not even in the country at all, you will believe it. So this is what we are trying, because what is happening in Nigeria is that the presidency, NNPC, and this subsidy money they collect, Ministry of Trade, where they get all these waivers and kill everybody's business so that their own business will become a monopoly. This permanent infrastructure to make the country dry, they don't go away because they are the first donor to anybody's campaign. They are the one who will nominate people who work in their company to become Minister of Trade, Minister of this, Minister in charge of finance. So that is what is killing us. I will put a stop to that if I'm elected. Now, it's now left to the people of Nigeria to understand what I'm saying, that you are suffering not because there's no money in the country, but because your money is being taken. And I'm campaigning modestly, managing, not because I don't know where these people are to go and collect money from them. I am now signing a covenant with Nigerian people to liberate yourself. Don't follow hashtag. Find out from everybody what is going on in the government. I've been shouting all these things. You notice everything I say. A few months later, they will accept it. They are stealing the money. I'm going to stop them. Every crime you see on the street is a reflection of the crime, bigger crime going on inside the villa. If you see a policeman collecting 20 naira, it's because the IG is collecting 200 million. Otherwise, if the government says no more collecting money by anybody, as long as those who are inside government, who are by the right of the president, left of the president himself, the first lady, the entire family, as long as they are crime-free, everybody in Nigeria will be crime-free. But if you see anybody who is boldly stealing crude oil, he is stealing it on behalf of the establishment. Because this thing is feasible, this thing can be seen from space. So even if you are on the moon, you can see them stealing the crude oil. So they are not invisible. The people who are selling the crude and carrying the money abroad, they are the people you see on high table when we are having state function. They are the people you see on high table when we have church service. They are the people you see everywhere. So we either campaign based on truth, because Nigerians always go to God and say, God, save us. You cannot say God save us if you are a liar. You are lying to yourself. So that's what I'm saying to the people, that I have come to break that yoke. It is now left to the people of Nigeria to follow what we are doing, elect us, and that's end of chiefry in Nigeria. It doesn't mean that we will not need competence to run the government. It doesn't mean that we will not bring technology. We have all of that, but you must stop pretending to be a government where you are just a band of robbers. But if you now have a government, that government can be struggling. But it is not what we have now. When I say there's no government in Nigeria, I'm not saying it just to be saucy, just to use the platform to insult people. There is no government in Nigeria. You have incumbents who are coming for self-compensation, who are using government offices to compensate for those who help them to get to office or position. And everybody is also, as they are thanking God for the money they're making, they're also creating empires for their political succession. That is why every minister under this government wants to be president. That is why governor of central bank wanted to be president. That is why every party leader is looking for war chest. And the media, especially the mainstream media, are also collecting their own cuts from it. So they will tell you, can you face Tinubu? He has a war chest. What you are calling war chest in another country is called proceeds of crime. So do you want to say that, can you bring PDP and their war chest? That thing you are calling war chest is a crime. When we saw that these political parties were using $35,000 and such like amount to pay delegates, they have been appearing on TV. Nobody has asked them that question. Why did you have to pay money to delegates? And where did you get the money from? So why are you now telling me to be giving you the econometrics of why dollar is now going to 750? You wait until dollar gets to 2,000. That's when you realize that the real problem has come. So let us not lie to ourselves. What I'm doing now was what Aminu Kano did when he was running. He was warning us that if you don't get rid of these people, they will get rid of your prosperity. You'll be living in the richest country in the world and be the poorest people in the world. And when you have economic instability, when you have a government of thieves, the thieves will fight among themselves. So they will also make the government unstable. Government will collapse. And if the government keeps collapsing and there's no institutional succession, you will see that terrorists, other people will come from Mali, from Libya, from everywhere to come to the country and upset our system. And that's what you are facing now. But if you don't have truth, you can't have justice. If you don't have justice, you can't have peace. And without honesty, you cannot even go before the Lord and be on your knees and say, God, rescue me. How can God rescue you when you are collecting commission from your kidnappers? That is what I'm saying. So I'm not coming here like Daniel in the wilderness. I am saying basic things that we need to say. Because if we don't take note of this, the reason why you don't have electricity was because your uncles who were buying transformer for 10 times the price did not let NEPA survive. Why you don't have good telephony today was because your people who were collecting bribe during night took us years. And if you see as we are now, we can't make a straight call. We can't even do Zoom conference. But if you go to Benin Republic, you can do it. Why? Because people in NCC are not protecting you. They are just blowing the money. If you go to NIDA, NIDA has more money than Ghana. And a small agency that is obscure under the Ministry of Communication is.
I think, Mr. Adebayo, if we leave you, you will give us another lecture for 2 hours.
Okay, go ahead.
What you are saying, very interesting and very pungent. Pastor, just before you come up again with questions, I just want to make a few announcements. If you have questions, you can post your questions on the chat. Today, we're able to take only a limited number of people who will ask questions directly. So you may want to post your questions on the chat. We will take them and acknowledge the people that have posted those questions. Okay, Mr. Adebayo, thank you very much for that. Pastor, I just wanted to make that announcement so that people will be aware that they can post their questions. And if you want to personally ask a question, you can lift up your hand electronically. We'll be able to take a few people, but not everybody.
Okay, so do you have a list of the questions that they have posted, Sonny?
Nobody has posted a question yet.
Okay, Yemisi Oyewumi wants to ask a question. Yemisi, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
And Chinedu, the blessed.
And then Chinedu, the blessed after her. And then we'll take it from there.
Good evening, sir. Can you hear me, sir? Good evening. Good evening, sir.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
My question, sir, is what's your view or your plan on the area of the security in the country and also in the aspect of electricity? Because I can remember during the week that Mr. Babatunde Fashola said that we are rich in Nigeria, but there's no traces of Nigeria being rich because the rate at which the low-income earners and masses are really suffering. Do you have any plans to make the life of masses improve if elected as a president in 2023? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yemisi. Chinedum the blessed. Can we take your question? Unmute yourself.
Good evening, everybody. Just to note, I tried typing my question, but it says that chat is disabled, so maybe we want to check that. My question, sir, thank you very much for your presentation. My question is, what are you going to do with the quota system?
Good.
Thank you.
Mr. Adebayo, please go ahead.
Okay, the first one is this. On security, we have the security infrastructure, but they are not doing the job because the commander-in-chief that we have is not paying attention to them. And he himself has admitted when Kuje prison was broken into, he said he was not aware. Such a thing in other places.
Please unmute yourself.
So we need to lead. The government needs to process intelligence and needs to receive intelligence act. And you could see that even the DSS said they sent over 40 briefings showing that attacks were being planned, and none of it has been actioned. So I'll do differently. On the issue of helping the poor, first, I'm not surprised that Mr. Fashola said there's money in Nigeria because his friends have money, he's made billionaires out of his friends, he's surrounded by billionaires. What we will do for the poor is, what makes you poor? To be poor in Nigeria is to be a victim of government because the environment doesn't want you to be poor. So what you do is that first, anybody who's of work age will be given a paying job. And that's why I went to the US and negotiated with the US Chamber of Commerce. That's just one country, and that's just one sector, 30 million jobs. So I believe that by the time our job programs run out, we'll see that we'll roll out, we'll see that everyone who wants to work in Nigeria will get a job. In fact, our neighbors in West Africa will get jobs. So secondly, if we spend money on infrastructure, a lot of people will be able to employ themselves, because if you have stable electricity, tailors, handicraft people, other people will be able to do that. And then hoteliers, every other person who is running a generator now, their costs will come down. And when the costs come down, the cost push aspect of inflation will go away. More people can produce. That's what I will do with respect to getting jobs for everybody. Now, with respect to the second question, which pertains to quota system, there is a legal aspect of the quota system, where is in our constitution that if you are doing anything, it's even in chapter 2 of our constitution, you try as much as possible to give everybody an opportunity to participate. But it's only in an atmosphere of scarcity that quota system becomes a problem. For example, people complain that you have 2,000 people applying to go to a school, and they can only admit 200. Then you start to ration state by state. Why don't you have a system whereby, like it was before, in the time of my parents, that when you want to go to university, 2 or 3 universities will be calling you. When I wrote JAM, which was long ago, 2 schools or 3 schools were asking me to come. So the first choice, second choice, and third choice, they were not for decoration in those days. So one school will admit you, the second one will say, if you're not happy with that one, you come. So it is because we are not making investment. If there's no scarcity of jobs, why will you use quota? Quota is to ration, and Nigeria is a land of abundance. We don't need to ration things. So King's College, they were built when Nigeria's population was around 50 million or less than that. Now we're at 200 million. Why don't you have 10 times King's College? Why do you have to have the same small one? Everybody's struggling for it. Now I will do justice by making additional investment. That issue will not arise.
All right, there's a question from Festus Adebambo. And the question says, what are you going to do about restructuring, or what's your position on restructuring? I want you to please note that. Somebody else asked the question, what are you going to do? Please be specific about these 30 million jobs that you keep mentioning all the time. And then maybe we should take the question from Agbo Akomolafe. Please unmute yourself, and then Lejo Olatunde, if you can answer those 4 questions as we begin to round up.
Okay, hello, Mr. Adebayo and everyone. My question is straightforward, and I hope I can be heard clearly. Firstly, on the scene right now politically, we all know that the big 3 names that we hear are Tinubu, Atiku, Obi. To me, these are establishment candidates. To me, in fact, I label them a Bermuda Triangle. What can the other candidates do? Very few Nigerians are actually aware that there are 18 candidates in all. What can Nigerians do to have some awareness? Because we all know competition improves quality. So what can Nigerians do? What can media organizations do for Nigerians to be more aware of the breadth of options that are available other than the Tinubu, Atiku, Obi, Bermuda Triangle, I call them, because I agree with you, candidate Adebayo, that these three are establishment candidates. They're recycled APC and PDP candidates. And I have no doubts that they will invade the LP just the same way they invaded the APC. So please, what can Nigerians do to get some more awareness about the options available?
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right. Alejo Olatunde, please.
Okay. Good evening, sir. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
go
please.
ahead.
All right. Sir, I want to ask, and we want to know as a Nigerian, what is going to be your blueprint on electricity restoration in the country? We want to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Four questions for you.
Let me
Go ahead.
start with the Constitution. Let me start with the first one, the Constitution. The Constitution, the structuring. The country needs to be restructured. First, I will restructure my presidency because that was within my powers. I don't need National Assembly for that. I will restructure my presidency so that the presidency can work for the president, so that there is direct contact with people who work for me. Second, for the country needs to move some items from the exclusive list to the concurrent list, because the most important list is concurrent. And if you look at the US Constitution, the concurrent is the most elaborate. So in Nigeria, the exclusive is too long. And it's because the military wrote the Constitution, they were a bit confused about how to manage threats from other tiers. But the Constitution is not the major problem we have. It's a problem because it can still be improved upon. Many countries in the world, unknown to us, are not satisfied with their Constitution. You saw that the Scottish wanted to leave the UK. They don't like the UK Constitution because they thought that it was limiting Scottish potentials. And they don't agree with many other issues. In Spain, there's always problem with their Constitution all the time. In Belgium, they had a period of 4 years, they couldn't form a government. But what I'm letting you know is that in each of those countries, electricity works, children are in school, they have national defense, they run smoothly. So I want to give you, under the current Constitution, a good government that works. Then join you in trying to improve the Constitution. But it is not that that's the reason why there's no electricity. No, that's not the reason why they're stealing your money. No, that's not the reason why children are out of school. That's not the reason why ASU is on strike. It's so I will make sure that government runs well, then we can always improve our Constitution. I'm not against that. With respect to the question by Mr. Akomolafe about the three people from the establishment, what we are doing now is what we need to do. We need to do asymmetric campaign because we cannot use the same style that they have. They have a lot of government money in their hand, and they have a lot of establishment money in their hand, and they can be going everywhere and throwing figures everywhere, trading everywhere. But if you look at elections, Ekiti, Osun, you will see that a lot of these things don't reflect that way. And in Ekiti, we did very well. In Osun, we didn't participate essentially because we couldn't put our main candidates in force. But you will see that we are in touch with the grassroots. And it is the grassroots that is going to surprise Nigerians. But I take a cue that we will do more of this kind of program. We will do more of campaign. And when the campaign season opens, because people don't know yet that campaign opens on the 28th of September. Until then, whatever any other person is doing is just preparation. But we will go around the country and we'll pitch our case and we'll make it easier for people to see us, to see the options. And this event, I thank the organizers and those who are participating, will also lead to something. But you will see us going everywhere and creating awareness. But I don't know, I think I must have, did I answer all the questions? If there's any other question I have not answered among the four. On the issue of power, I
The
remember
30
now
million
power.
jobs. Yeah.
Oh, yes, 2 million, 30 million jobs on the power. First, power. What you need to do, what I want to do now, unfortunately, in 2001, I addressed the National Council on Power. Then, under President Obasanjo, later Gagu was Minister of Power. He's late now, but Daguman Goje was Minister of State. He's now a Senator, National Assembly. And Dr. Ekerundu was Permanent Secretary. He's still alive now. He's a professor. And then, unfortunately, the MD of NEPA, Makoju, he died last month. But you will still find people like Lee Luboke being around, was special advisor. And people like Folisheke Shomolu, special advisor, was also around. And I said, the way you are going, you will never get electricity because you are investing in dead horses. You are awarding dead horse contracts. What you need to do is leave the national grid because it was meant for a time in the past. And I explained to them that Ekpe Power Station, which they were trying to repair, was built by Marubeni of Japan. And the Marubeni does not even have such turbine anymore. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to break up the national grid and create cycles in different places. For example, Lagos has no business being on national grid. Lagos, Edo, Ondo, Delta, Ogun, because they are riparian states, they are riverine states. So they can easily generate thermal power station with gas and put, even on barges and boats, they will be able to service themselves. We don't have the technology and the expertise and the character to run power station from Kainji, Jeba, and Chiroro, and take all that power to Aloji in Abia. Somewhere along the line, one cable is going to cut. So that is the wrong idea. Secondly, rural electrification. The average, by my research, that the average rural electrification requires that every household needs about 1.5 kVA to 5 kVA. Now, you can do that with 41 solar panels on the roof of the chief's house. So why do you want to run cable and transformer to give somebody electricity to iron his clothes and watch TV and do simple laundry? India has taught us how to do that. What you do is that you put solar panel on people's roofs. Then on all our rivers, even in this current administration, I proposed to them that I could give them water solar panel on top of water services, and they can do it, but they refuse to do it. So all of those things I will implement. What I will give you is what I have given to myself. I have given to myself 1.4 kilowatts, 1.4 megawatt. That's me as a person. I gave myself 1.4 megawatt of electricity by using solar panel. So I think that I can give the country about 50,000 megawatts of electricity. With 50,000, you don't need Fashola, you don't need anybody. Because these powers, even as we are doing it now, I better pass my neighbor generator, industrial generator. We are generating about 35,000 megawatts already, but inefficiently through bad diesel and all of that. So I will just formalize that by making sure that I use alternative and green energy to generate power. I'm not going to be investing my money in all these discos and all of that. If they want to go and sell power, if they see power to generate and sell, good luck to them. I'm not going to do that. On 30 million jobs, 30 million jobs is in 5 sectors. I'm dealing with international community that know what they are talking about. Number 1 is in agriculture. The only role I have to play in that is to ensure that I provide security for ginger farms, gum arabic farm, grain farm, and all of that. And if you look at Sokoto River, which I can dredge for about $1.2 million, I can do that easily. You will be able to have a bed from that all the way to Borno for tomatoes and all of that. So in agriculture, you will be able to build simple dirt runway where you can have cargo plane, Avilan, and all of them landing there and taking these products as they are produced straight to the market. All over the world, in Europe, in East Africa, in some nearby Middle East, they all have these products that they consume on their table every day. They just need a place to farm them. They don't need your money. They don't need anything. Just don't ask for bribe. You give them the land. They come there, do the farming. These things have a short time to farm them, 30 days. Some of them, like mushroom and co. Others, you can farm them after 3 months. you take them abroad, you earn money. Second one is on infrastructure. I don't believe that Nigeria can survive on infrastructure budgeting that is less than, at least, spend on infrastructure, Nigeria should be spending $250 billion. Where is the money going to come from? It's very simple. What they do nowadays is this. Nigeria needs about 120 ports between Badagry, Topo, Badagry, and say Rio de Janeiro in Cross River. What do we have? We have only 3 or so functional ports. The one in Calabar has been given to a PDP man. The one in Lagos has been given to some families and private businesses who are also exporters. So the one we have in Apapa and the Apapa Key and the old colonial port is what they are fighting every day, removing MD of MPA, going to prison for fire poisoning. All I need to do is to bring in new investors who will build export ports and entreports. So they will just come, we give them the acreage, they go there. What they wanted to do on Omotosho, through bribery, those people ran away. So we will stop all of that. So they will come from abroad. There was one done in Lagos by Ladol. You see that one was successful. It's just a private port built by a private company, and they come there and process. So I will do at least 120 of that. If I do 120 of that, that will generate at least 4 million jobs, well-paying jobs that last a lifetime. Then I go from my infrastructure, I go to green energy. Nigerians are very good with green energy. We'll be building our solar panels, we'll be building inverters, and all of those things that we are able to do, because Nigerians are very smart. So that is a very good area. The fourth area for me is education. Education, because if you expand the universities, if you build hostels, that is to say, like it was in your own time, Pastor, when you were in school, every student who is given an admission letter is given a 2-bedroom, a 2-person per room accommodation. So to build all these hostels across all the universities is a massive investment. To change all the primary schools in the country on a massive building project is doable. Now, to go to housing, you should be able to build 1 million houses every year. If you are not collecting money from cement dealers and they're able to sell cement in Nigeria 7 times the price elsewhere, if you are able to work out an arrangement with them, not that we're making them poor, they will realize that whatever pricing you do, we must be able to build 1 million houses per state in a year. In 4 years, I should be able to do better than Shagari and Wahab Dosumu. They did it, even though there was no money at that time, but Wahab Dosumu, everywhere you go, you see Shagari Estate. And Jakande still has Jakande Estate everywhere. Not seen any other person's estate in Lagos for the past 30 years. So we'll be able to do that. That is where the job is coming from. And then the last part of the job, and you will see me, is in the area of new technology, blockchain. I'm now signing with the person who was able to revolutionize blockchain for Malaysia. His name is Dennis. They are coming here to this country, and you will see that Nigerians have the most capability in quantum mechanics, in quantum physics, in advanced mathematics. We will be able to get them into a blockchain. And with blockchain technology, we will cut across payment system, we will cut across delivery system, operational system. So this job will be flowing. It will help Ghana, it will help Cote d'Ivoire, it will help Benin Republic, it will help Cameroon, and it will become a hub again. And that is where the job is coming from. So I don't see any problem with that at all.
All right, thank you very much. There are a few people who also want to ask questions. Let's just take a few of them very, very quickly, and then we will close. Olori Morenika Animashaun, Tunde Akpelogun, and Otaji Faye. We'll take those 3 questions, and Abdurazak Ahmed Jibia. And I think we will close after that. Thank you.
Pastor, let me just make one comment, if you permit me. Because I saw a question where somebody said that we don't have the manpower to build 1 million houses. That's not correct. In fact, we have the manpower to build 20 million houses. The manpower. If I remember that in the 50s, companies like Abico, GCAPA, and so many, they were the training ground for our building workmen. And as I speak to you now, people who 3 months ago didn't know anything about solar power. If I can send to pastor, if he permits me, we'll share it with you. I've trained over 1,000 youths in solar power. The Nigerians are very smart. There's something they cannot learn. So what we do, as you are doing the housing, you are also teaching people on modular construction and all the rest of it. So anybody should be able to learn that within this, that skill set within a short time. So you are creating manpower training and you are building at the same time. Proceed.
Please limit your questions to 30 seconds to 1 minute and one question alone. Tunde Akpolegun, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Sonny. Mr. Adewole, I believe that no politician can fix Nigeria. I believe that everything you have said is just academic. Can you tell me, what do you think of Professor Banji, was the leader of the Yoruba self-determination movement, considering that Yoruba nation has been registered with the United Nations as unrepresented nation? What do you think of Mr. Banji? Is it Akintoye? Do you know his surname?
Akintoye.
Yeah. So what do you think of him?
Akintoye.
Yeah. So what do you think of him and his effort to liberate, to free Yoruba people from the Nigerian 1999 Fulani or Fulanization, Islamization constitution? Thank you.
Okay. Olori Morenike, go ahead. Unmute yourself. Okay. Otaji Faye, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
All right, sir. Okay, so I just want to echo. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I want to echo Mr. Omotunde Ajiboye's question on the chat. Will you give Nigerians the chance of a referendum regarding restructuring if you are elected? And how soon should it be expected? Also, I would like to know if you are in support of state police. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay, go ahead, Olori.
Good evening, everyone. My question to Mr. Adewole is about health and transportation. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Abdul Razak. Abdul Razak, unmute yourself. Ahmad Jibia. You can unmute yourself. All right. Mr. Adewale, you can proceed and answer those questions.
Okay, first, thank you. I believe that Nigerian problems are human and they are caused by human beings. It's not a defined cause. So any problem caused by a human being can be solved by another human being. And I believe that I'm going to solve the problem of Nigeria together with other Nigerians once I'm elected as president. And it is not a one-man show. It is leading a pack of patriots to power so that we can use the power to help the people. With respect to Professor Banji Akintoye, he's a renowned historian. And if you look at his entire life, his life is about Nigeria. He was trained in the University of Ibadan, established by Nigeria. Became a professor in Nigerian University. He's a patriot. It's only frustrated that the dreams of the founding fathers is becoming a nightmare. And he grew up at a time when Adewole was premier. Sir Ahmadu Bello was premier. Alpara, after Zik, was premier. And Dennis Osadebe was premier in the Midwest. And those were times that things moved well in the country. And they have this nostalgia that things moved well because the regions were able to do it. The regions were independent. My own argument is that it is not the regions, it was the quality of the leadership at that time, because the people who were there at that time were patriots, they fear God, they wanted to come and be great and achieve something for the black race. Those who are there now just want to make money. So I understand the argument of Professor Akintoye, but my concern, my mission in life is to rescue Nigerians. And I don't see how I can leave my brothers who are in Borno, who are facing Boko Haram now, and saying that I want to join the regional system. I am as much pain about the problem in Borno as I am pained by the problem in Niger Delta, as I'm pained by the erosion that we have in the Southeast, the insecurity we have in the Southeast, the feeling of alienation we have in the Southeast. So I'm concerned about all the problems across the country. So I don't have that privilege and luxury to think only of one small group. But I believe that it is good for the government under me to listen to everybody. And from what I have synthesized, if the problems of insecurity go away, if there are no killer herdsmen going to communities to kill people, if there is law and order around, if the system works, and if anybody from any part of Nigeria can get a job without you asking where they come from, Professor Akintoye will change his mind. It's not that he hates other Nigerians. He is always saying that there is no consensus around these issues in the country. And my presidency will bring this consensus because he has many friends. In fact, he has a very good friend of his, Professor Ango Abdullahi. And I've had to talk to Ango Abdullahi. Ango Abdullahi has a lot of respect for Banji Akintoye. But if I can get the two of them, one speaking for Northern Elders Forum, the other speaking for the Yoruba Nation group that he's leading. And then if you see people like Chukwemeka Esife, you cannot get a patriot that loves Nigeria more than Chukwemeka Esife. If you get people like that, and you get people like Joshua Fumudo of the Izo Nation and all other people together, I think this matter will be resolved very easily. It is not like where no group in Nigeria is doing favor to the other. God created all of us here, or we are here. And the knowledge of history that I have, which I believe Professor Akintoye has too, is that even before the British came, there are lots of interaction between us and among us. So that's not a problem. I see all these, whether it's Nnamdi Kanu here, whether it's Akintoye, whether it's Eva, whether it's Boho, whether it is Asari Dokubo, whether it is any other person, they are saying the system is not working, fix it. It is their job to fix the system. And in fixing the system, after all, even at a time, we took arms against each other in this country. But Philip Effiong was able to embrace Yakubu Gowon. If that could happen, then I don't fear for the future at all. I believe that with good leadership, this issue will be synthesized. So that's what I believe. Now, when you talk of, I don't know, I'm trying to get the next question.
Referendum. Would you have a referendum if you become the president?
Okay, referendum. You see, referendum is a legislative question. It is not the president that allows referendum. But what I can tell you is that I believe the power lies with the people. And that's why I'm going from place to seek to be elected. When I become president, any bill that comes from National Assembly for referendum to be conducted, I will not hesitate to sign it. I will sign such a bill because power under our Constitution lies with the people. And the Constitution, even though it's not saying it so truthfully, says that we the people. So if it says we the people, why should I now stop the people from having a voice? And you will see in places like California and other places in America, they have what we call ballot measures, ballot initiatives. Every election, they are not only voting executives in, they are also voting on issues. So I believe that I can encourage that situation in Nigeria where we are not only voting on our candidates, we are voting on issues like should we have state police? Should we have immunity for executive officers? Should we share our money at the center, or should we allow components to manage the money and contribute to center? What do we do about our commons clause and all of that? So I believe that power to the people is not against the principle of what the Social Democratic Party stands for and what I stand for. With respect to state police, I believe in community policing. I believe in local government police. In fact, I believe that before universities will have police. Police is not something to be dreaded. People are talking of police now in view of oppressive power. Majority of police work is assistance, helping you to cross the streets, helping you to protect your life, searching for missing persons, investigating crime. Why should a crime happen in local government? And I want, as president, to have to direct IG to go and investigate a missing goat somewhere in Otoko, as in my business. So every community should have community policing. However, there should be national standard. There's already international standard for policing. And if we hear from NSAS and all of these agitations in Nigeria, we can have a standard police council that gives standard behavior to all police. So I'm going to make this police thing no longer about voodoo, no longer about prestige or ego. I'm going to make it about service and local government. Even in some places in Lagos and big cities, some estates have security guarding the estate. We have vigilante. I told the story one time when my campaign was going to Zamfara State, and our team could not move because bandits were on the way, and we just passed an army checkpoint, and the people could not move. After a while, my campaign people went and spoke to some vigilantes, and the vigilantes came and chased away the bandits. So that is a form of community policing. So I believe that it's not about power play. It's about keeping people's lives safe and secure. I'm creating community free of crime. I don't have anything against that. With regards to transportation has to be multimodal. Luckily for Nigeria, we have very big rivers. In fact, do you know that the deepest river some of the deepest river in Africa is what we call Olukun River, which is now called Ethiopia River, that is in Delta State. So all the tributaries, Kwara River, I was flying from Ilorin the other day and I was showing my vice president the trajectory of Kwara River as it was emptying to the River Niger. With dredging, we can go around the country. Even Lake Chad is navigable. So we will have transport over water, safe transport. And if you look at what happened in a country like Indonesia, that is a collection of islands, archipelago of islands. If you go to many places, you will see that water transportation right from Lagos to Bonny to other places will not be news to us. After all, most of my family members, and I believe if you ask your uncles and grandfathers and everybody, they went to England by boat. So we do commerce by boat. So I think we can use water. Second is railway. We should have railway reaching every state capital. If you don't waste the money, like Buhari and Amechi have done, where you part the contract and you set the country away, with standard gauge, with good modern carriage, you should be able to have railway connection across 774 local governments in Nigeria over a period of 8 years. That's not too hard to do, and that will also create jobs. Road transportation. Two things we are going to do on road transportation is that, one, we have to ensure that our highways are safe both day and night, and they are well lit. Secondly, you have to ensure that you do road maintenance. I've been preaching about road maintenance for some time. Remember, we used to have public PWD, Public Works Department. Their job was to maintain the roads. So they extended the lifespan of the roads. In my community now, I'm doing an experiment. And if you go to Ondo City, in the entire Ondo Kingdom, where I come from, you will see that in about 2 years, you will not see pothole anywhere. I made a pledge to the community and told them that, it's possible to do without potholes. They said, how is that possible? I'm doing it now. I'm blocking potholes everywhere. And I believe that time I finish, you drive right on, close your eyes and no pothole. And I'm doing the same thing with street lights. It's possible to have all the road lit. And I'm not a fantastically rich man. I'm just letting you know that it's possible to do it. So at the government level, we should be able to do so. It's not about having 8-lane highways. The roads that Adewole built, the road that Adebayo built, Okpara built, they are still lasting up to now. And they were built, if you obey the highway code, Road safety is a joke. They're only there to check license. So they are not teaching people how to drive. Even they themselves, their own vehicles are not roadworthy. So we will maintain the highway speed. We'll put signs and everything there. If you drive across the country today now, people are dying because there are even no signs that you have a corner is at a corner or anything like that. We'll do it. We'll retrain our drivers because I believe maybe not more than 7% of those who drive on Nigerian roads know anything about simple highway code. Even the people who drive the president, I see them, they drive like maniacs. So from that, even the police, they don't know how to drive. And that's a big problem we need to resolve for highway. Then aviation. The problem with aviation is that we are doing aviation for the elite to carry a big man from Port Harcourt to Lagos and to Abuja. We don't know the power of aviation for agriculture, for safety, for security. One of the reasons why we are struggling with dealing with bandits nowadays and why we are losing our boys in the air is that we don't have enough landing strips. So look at the crash in Abuja that killed Officer Gazama and so many of them. I went behind and I went and followed what happened. They discovered that they were in trouble in the air from Kaduna. There was nowhere they could stop. But in a good country, between Kaduna and Abuja, there should be at least 88 to 90 landing strips. In Atlanta, Georgia, they have the largest airport in the world, that's what you know, but there are over 129 airports within the Atlanta metropolitan area. So I will build at least an airstrip in every local government. People will say, how can you do that? It's not hard at all. It's not expensive to do. I've been in many parts of the country, the world, where it is done. I have friends of mine who built just about $1.2 million to build an airstrip in their village. In fact, I'm trying to build one in my village just because I'm running for office now. Once I finish my presidency, if I win, I will go and build it everywhere. But even while in government, I'll make sure that every local government has a landing strip where hard-based fuselage can land, like Air King and all of that. Even if you have gravel, it can still land. So you have been able to travel across the country by multimodal transportation. You don't have problems of just having these narrow options. I don't know if there's any other question which we have missed.
I think we've taken it to the top and we've done real justice to it. I don't know if Pastor is there. I think we've really come to the head.
There are also some questions that people wrote and they are complaining that the questions were not answered.
The question, somebody was asking about what constitution will you utilize. I think you have really answered that question, and that what's your position on regionalism and self-determination advocacy. I believe you have addressed those issues. However, if you want to add anything, because we really want to end, I think that was his question really. What constitution are you going to use, and what's your position on regionalism and
okay, there was also an issue about foreign debt. Foreign debt, the problem of our debt, I've been studying the profile of the debt. In fact, I have a former Director General of the Debt Management Office as one of my advisors, and I've been looking at the profile of our debt. We had a debt problem when Obasanjo came, and he was able to handle that debt problem, though not the way I would have handled it, but he managed his own wisdom. Because I think we threw away a lot of money that was used for development. What I will do with the debt is I'll give you a disclosure of the debt. You need to know your debt, because the first thing you discover in Nigeria that there are a lot of fake debts. Even when Gawan had no debt, but when Shagari started accumulating these debts, and I think it was Kalu Dikakalu, Chuokongu, Falai advising President Babangida at that time, when we were negotiating with IMF, you will discover that with a simple audit, almost 40% of our debt will be gone. Many of them are dubious debts. And I believe that there are some dubious debts are still in our books now. I will claim those dubious debts. Then I will tenor the debts for you to see that some are short-term debts, some are medium-term debts, some are long-term debts, some are developmental grants that have very marginal interest rate as 0.5% with 25-year moratorium. So I will give you a stretch of the debt. You will see that the debt is not really such a big issue. What is the big issue and why debt is coming up now is that Nigerians have discovered that we are using of late almost 100% of our new income to service the debt. And in one recent month, it went to about 120%, which means you have to borrow to pay debt that you borrowed before. But that happened because our real income is being stolen. So it's like a family that the man earns 100,000, but lies to his family that he earns only 15,000. And he says that he has a debt of 25,000. So the family will be panicked that we have a debt of 25,000 and the head of the family is earning 15,000. How do we survive? But they don't know that the man is just lying. He actually earns 100,000. So once they discover that he earns 100,000, they won't worry too much about that debt. But they will realize that with the additional 85,000 coming in, they can actually pay the debt if the debt is due, and they can do other things. So those are the things I will do for you. But for the country, I will ensure that we profile the debt is not in speculation anymore, and I will tenure the debt. I will go and take the debt and use actuarial calculations to get the debt to see that even every Nigerian will know how much is contributing to the payment of Nigerian debt. And on the average, for what I see, if you have productivity, the average Nigerian will be contributing about 1.2% of his income to pay Nigerian debt. That's less than what we spend to do Owambe and not just of it. So I believe that we'll be able to deal with it. The problem is that if you have foreign debt, domestic debt is because of the financialization of our foreign exchange. That's what is the domestic debt, because the fiscal management that the government is doing is a malpractice. What they don't do, usually what you do, in fiscal management, is you go and stand in the middle. You want to have a balanced budget. So then circumstances can push you to have a deficit budget because you have to build bridges, what to do. But they don't do that. They do the envelope budgeting. So they just call a figure and call that figure first. They steal all the money. And when they have gap, they go and quickly borrow. And why is borrowing going on? Borrowing is going on for two reasons. The central bank and the bankers committee don't have a way, an easy way to invest in the economy. So to keep a sense of banking going on, they want to be lending to the government and allow government to be issuing treasury bills. But I know that if the central bank governor that I have, it won't be a Mayfield, and by God's grace, it won't be a Mayfield type. It will be a central banker in the mode of Clement Song of those days. So in that case, he will take control of the central bank and not make it available to me. And I'm not going to ask him to make it available to me. But we will set up a marriage, intersection between fiscal management and monetary management, where we can get full employment, we can get balanced budget, and we can get an interest rate that is not of inflation rate. Because these people in central bank today, to be honest, they are supposed to be really, really punished, because you cannot have an interest rate that is south of inflation rate. That means there's negative saving and nobody will take his money to the bank. That's why they are using all kinds of charges to get the money out. In any case, with unproductivity, with government giving you money, which you now put in the bank, there's nothing going on. So we'll take care of that, and you will see that debt on the government side will go down. There might be some debt which the central bank wants to go into for foreign exchange purposes, letter of credit and all of that. But I have a futures market, which is what I'm keeping to my chest. By the time I operate in the futures market, I will be able to get at least our foreign reserve, which is not Nigeria's money. It's the money of the central bank. It's not the government money. That foreign reserve will go to about 550 billion, because our GDP is underreported and is skewed. But if I take our foreign reserve to about $550 billion, no speculator will come near us. I did some work on the management of debt in Chile, in Argentina, and now I know even in Nigeria and Lagos, you can trade on the debt of Zambia. And that is where we're taking ourselves to. We're Zambianizing ourselves, which is not fair. So what I will do in that respect is to make sure that I push the foreign reserve for the central bank. And that reserve doesn't mean it has to be kept in America. The reserve can be managed in a plural way. And if we take a renminbi position, for example, because I've been noticing, if you look at Russia, Russia has been able to take a renminbi position, and they're not having as much volatility, even though they're under sanction, they're under embargo. But we're under just pure stupidity. Nobody's embargoing us. We don't have any problem. And we're not able to take all this position. Even the swap that we have with China, we couldn't maintain the swap because we're not producing enough to exchange goods for goods. So I will clear out this mess, and you'll be very happy with the state of the economy and the debt.
Thank you very, very much. And we have run out of time a little bit. And I want to thank you greatly, first of all, for your courage, for your great courage and taking on this gauntlet at personal risk to yourself and a lot of expenses and all that, and for being an inspiration to people of the younger generation and for challenging the status quo. Thank you very much. And also thank you for coming on the program and for all your responses. We can only say that we wish you very well, and we wish Nigeria very, very well too, and pray that God will produce for us the caliber of leaders that we really need to take us out of the woods, you know, and to bring our
I have a surprise for you, Pastor. I have a surprise for you here.
I will tell him to mount. I will tell him to mount. Florian Collegium.
Yes.
Yusuf.
Florian, sir. Florian, sir.
God bless you, my brother. You've taken one of my very favorite people.
Thank you very much.
On your side. And I must confess that he did all humanly possible to get me to join the SDP. But I'm trying to remain party free for now. I have my sympathies here and there. All I want for Nigeria at the end of the day is to make sure that the best come into leadership. So I'm watching the space and I'm seeing who the best will be. But maybe one day I will join one party.
I will have our brother, Pastor Light, here as well. We have Pastor Light here as well.
God bless you.
Yes.
God bless you. God bless you.
Yes.
I see you are surrounded by everything that you need.
Yes,
God
sir.
bless you. Thank you very much. So maybe we'll just take from you some closing remarks, and we will be on our way.
Thank you, sir.
Do you have any closing remarks or any closing words as we close?
My closing remark was to thank you, to thank all those who turned up, and to say we need to spread the message, and to say that we should not lose hope. This country is governable. This country has been blessed by God. It's a taste of paradise. And we should try our best not to lose courage. And like I said to the Christian community today, and this is also true for the Muslim community and any other group in the country, that the way God works is not the way of man. And I said to the Christian community today that when the children of Israel were facing Goliath and the Philistines, they thought it was the generals that would save them. But God thinks differently. It's not by might, it's not by power, it's not by how much money you deploy. They went and got the lowliest of their brothers, a shepherd boy, and he was the one who saved them from the Philistines. And that is true, and it's also true to those who believe in the Islamic tradition that power comes from God. We should not lose courage. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And we're fighting, we're doing our best. And I'm not a candidate for show. I'm not a candidate that just want to say, oh, I run for president. I will do everything humanly, legitimately, and patriotically possible to send the message to Nigerians. And I believe that if we win, when we come to power, we will be able to wipe tears off Nigeria and make it a proud country, the Community of Nations. I thank you for your support.
God bless you all, and we wish you the very, very best. May God look after you and protect you, your family, all that is yours, and may God sort out Nigeria and do what is best for our country. God bless you. Have a very wonderful evening and a great weekend ahead. And if you're in Lagos anytime, let us know. All right. God bless you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone that was on the platform. We wish you very well. Next week, by God's grace, we'll be having yet another very, very critical and important candidate. If we're able to get the candidate we're looking for, he'll be on board. If not, we'll get somebody else who can come and speak to us. Thank you all. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless Nigeria.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Adebayo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Oyewole. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.